The Uber ride was supposed to take 25 minutes. But when driver Miguel Rodriguez recognized Charlie Kirk in his rearview mirror, he had no idea this conversation would become the most intense political debate of both their lives. What started as small talk was about to change everything they thought they knew about America. Charlie Kirk stepped out of his Phoenix office building. The desert heat hitting him like a wall. He was looking forward to this ride, 25 minutes of quiet before another university debate. His phone buzzed. "Your Uber has arrived." Miguel, black Honda Civic. Charlie slid into the back seat, immediately pulling out his phone. The driver glanced in his rearview mirror and froze. He recognized that face instantly. Miguel had spotted his passenger right away, but what he was about to say would turn this ordinary ride into an extraordinary confrontation that neither man saw coming. "Excuse me, you're Charlie Kirk, right?" Miguel's voice carried a slight accent, his knuckles already tightening on the steering wheel. Charlie looked up. "Yeah, that's me. Nice to meet you, Miguel Rodriguez. My daughter watches your videos." Miguel paused, his jaw setting. "We don't always agree with what you say, though." Charlie had heard this before. "What don't you agree with?" Miguel pulled into traffic, his voice growing harder. "You talk about hard work paying off, about the American dream being real for everyone. I've been busting my ass for 30 years. Mr. Kirk still driving Uber at 52. Charlie had no idea he was about to hear a story that would shatter everything he believed about success and failure in America. "What did you do before Uber?" Charlie asked, putting his phone away completely. "Construction, 28 years, started carrying tools, worked my way up to running crews, good money, respect everything you say, capitalism rewards." Miguel's voice turned bitter. Then 2008 hit like a freight train. Charlie felt the shift happening. This wasn't going to be small talk anymore. Lost everything, company folded, couldn't find work anywhere. Bank took our house. Miguel gripped the wheel tighter, had to move my wife and 8-year-old daughter into a crappy 2-bedroom apartment. What Miguel revealed next would expose the brutal reality that conservative politicians never want to admit exists. My wife started cleaning offices at night, working grocery store during the day, barely saw each other for 3 years. Miguel's voice cracked. "We did everything right. Mr. Kirk saved money, paid taxes, believed the system would reward hard work." Charlie leaned forward. "But you recovered. You're working, providing for your family." Miguel let out a harsh laugh. "Recovered? I'm driving strangers around 12 hours a day, making half what I made swinging a hammer. You call that recovered?" The question hung between them, heavy and loaded. Charlie was about to say something that would completely blindside Miguel and flip this entire conversation upside down. "Miguel, do you blame capitalism for what happened to you?" Charlie's voice was genuinely curious, not defensive. Miguel expected a lecture about personal responsibility. Instead, he heard real interest. "I blame a system that screwed working people like me while bailing out the banks that caused the whole damn mess." "What if I told you that wasn't really capitalism that screwed you?" Miguel's eyebrows shot up. "What the hell do you mean?" Charlie's next words would blow Miguel's mind and make him question everything he thought he knew about who really caused the 2008 disaster. The 2008 crash wasn't free market capitalism, Miguel. It was government forcing banks to give loans to people who couldn't afford them. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac bought up all the bad debt when it collapsed. Taxpayers like you got stuck with the bill while Wall Street got bailed out. Miguel went quiet, processing this, but even before 2008 wages were dropping, you know why. Tell me companies started hiring illegals for half what they paid legal workers. I couldn't compete with guys working $8 an hour under the table. Miguel was about to reveal something that would prove he understood capitalism better than most politicians ever would. Construction companies didn't give a damn about immigration law. Miguel's voice rose. They wanted cheap labor, period. Hire illegals, look the other way. Pocket the difference. Charlie nodded. That's exactly right. That's not free market capitalism, that's crony. Capitalism companies breaking laws to undercut legal workers. But nothing happened to them. I reported violations to ICE dozens of times, nothing. The companies got richer. I got blacklisted for trying to do the right thing. Miguel was getting heated now, gesturing with one hand while driving. That's corruption, not capitalism, Charlie said. Charlie was about to share something personal that would shock Miguel and prove they had way more in common than either man realized. My grandfather worked steel mill in Chicago, union job, good wages, supported 6 kids on one paycheck. Charlie's voice softened. Factory moved to Mexico in the 90s. He was 63, didn't know how to do anything else. Miguel glanced up, surprised by the personal turn. Spent his last years at Home Depot, minimum wage, died bitter and broken, wondering what he'd done wrong. So you get it, Miguel said quietly. I get the pain, but I learned something different from watching him suffer. What Charlie said next would challenge everything Miguel believed about opportunity and competition in modern America. We can't beat Mexican workers making $2 a day by lowering wages. We gotta beat them by being smarter, more innovative. Charlie leaned forward. My grandfather's factory disappeared, but his grandson went to college, started something new. Miguel took the airport exit traffic, slowing easy to say, when you had opportunities, what about guys like me? What about my daughter? Your daughter has opportunities we never dreamed of, internet, online, education, ways to start businesses that didn't exist 10 years ago. She needs to eat while she's getting those opportunities. Charlie was about to reveal something about his own struggles that would completely change how Miguel saw him forever. Miguel, I started Turning Point with $1,000 and a maxed-out credit card, lived on ramen for 8 months. No health insurance, slept on my friend's couch. Miguel looked genuinely shocked. Seriously, failed at 3 different businesses before this one worked. Only difference between us is I was 24 with no kids depending on me. You had real responsibilities, real people counting on you. This wasn't what Miguel expected from a conservative talking head. Miguel was about to reveal a dream he'd kept secret for years, and it would prove Charlie's point in the most unexpected way possible. They pulled up to the terminal. Miguel put it in park but didn't move to end the ride. You want to know something crazy? I always wanted my own construction company, focus on green building, solar installations, sustainable stuff. Charlie's eyes lit up. What stopped you after 2008? No bank would touch me, and honestly, I was scared. Couldn't risk failing again with a family to feed. Miguel, you've got 28 years experience. You know the industry inside out. Only thing missing is opportunity. What Charlie offered next would completely blow Miguel's mind and potentially change his entire family's future in ways he never imagined. Charlie pulled out his phone. I know a guy in Phoenix invests in exactly what you're talking about, sustainable construction, solar. His name's David Chen. Miguel's eyes went wide. You'd introduce me to an investor. Why would you do that for a stranger who disagrees with you politically? Charlie smiled, because this isn't about politics, man. It's about giving hardworking people a real shot at building something. He handed Miguel his card. Email me a business plan. Doesn't have to be fancy, just write down your vision. Miguel was about to share something about his daughter that would make this conversation even more powerful and personal. Miguel stared at the card like it was gold. There's something else my daughter got into. Arizona State Engineering Program, full scholarship, dude, that's incredible. Charlie grinned. She's getting crap from friends for choosing engineering over social work. They say she's selling out to the system. Charlie shook his head. Your daughter gets it. She knows you don't change the system by standing outside complaining. You master it, and use your skills to make it better. What Charlie asked next would force Miguel to confront his biggest assumption about conservatives and everything he thought he knew. Charlie opened the door, then paused. Miguel, before today, what did you think guys like me actually believed? Miguel thought hard, honestly, that you only cared about rich people staying rich, that you didn't give a damn about working guys like me. And now Miguel looked at the business card in his trembling hand. Now I'm thinking maybe I've been listening to the wrong people about what conservatives really want. But as Charlie stepped out of that car, Miguel was about to make a confession that would reveal just how much this 25-minute conversation had changed everything he believed about America and his own future. What Miguel was about to admit would prove that sometimes a single conversation between strangers can shatter years of political assumptions. Charlie had one foot out of the car when Miguel's voice stopped him. Wait, Mr. Kirk, there's something I need to tell you, something I've never admitted to anyone. Charlie paused, sensing the weight in Miguel's voice. I voted for Obama twice. Miguel's hands were still gripping the steering wheel. I believed everything the Democrats told me about Republicans, about people like you. Charlie slid back into his seat. This wasn't over yet. I thought you were all rich kids who never worked a day in your lives, who didn't care if working people like me got crushed. Miguel's voice was shaking slightly, but sitting here talking to you, offering to help a stranger you've never met. I don't know what to think anymore. Charlie was about to reveal something that would completely change how Miguel saw the entire political landscape. Miguel, can I tell you something most people don't know about the conservative movement? Charlie's voice was gentle, not preachy. Miguel nodded, still processing his own confession. Half the people at Turning Point USA came from working-class families like yours. Their parents lost jobs to outsourcing or automation or illegal immigration. They didn't turn conservative because they were privileged. They turned conservative because the system failed them and they wanted real solutions. Miguel stared at Charlie in the mirror. This doesn't make sense with what I've been told my whole life. That's because the media and politicians on both sides make more money when we hate each other. Charlie said, when working people like your family and my family start talking to each other, honestly, they realize we want the same things. Miguel was about to ask a question that would force Charlie to confront the hardest criticism of conservative politics. But what about healthcare? Miguel's voice got stronger. My wife has diabetes. We pay $800 a month for insulin. How does capitalism help with that? Charlie took a breath. This was the tough one. Miguel, that's not capitalism, that's crony capitalism. Again, 3 companies control 90% of insulin production. They lobby government to keep competitors out of the market. So what's the solution? Break up the monopolies, allow real competition? Let companies import cheaper insulin from other countries. Charlie leaned forward. The reason insulin costs so much isn't because of free markets, it's because we don't have free markets in healthcare. Miguel was quiet, thinking through this. In a real free market, your wife's insulin would cost $30 like it does in every other country. Charlie continued, but our government protects the big pharmaceutical companies from competition. What Miguel revealed about his wife would make this conversation even more personal and show the real human cost of failed policies. My wife rationed her insulin last year, Miguel's voice cracked. We couldn't afford the full dose, so she took half what she needed, ended up in the emergency room. Charlie felt like he'd been punched in the gut. Miguel, I'm sorry, that's not right. That should never happen in America. She almost died because we couldn't afford medicine that cost pennies. To make Miguel wiped his eyes. It's hard to believe in any system when it fails the people you love most. Charlie was quiet for a moment, then spoke softer. Miguel, what if I told you there are conservative politicians fighting to fix exactly that problem? fighting to break up those monopolies and allow real competition. Miguel looked skeptical. Which one's ever heard of Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz? They've been pushing bills to allow insulin imports to break up big pharma monopolies. Charlie pulled out his phone, but the media doesn't cover it because it doesn't fit the narrative that conservatives don't care about working people. Charlie was about to make an offer that would give Miguel's family real hope for the first time in years. Charlie scrolled through his contacts. I know someone who runs a program that helps families get affordable insulin. Rebecca Martinez. She's helped hundreds of families in situations like yours. Miguel's eyes widened. You'd connect me with her too, Charlie nodded. Your family shouldn't have to choose between rent and medicine. That's not the America any of us want. Miguel stared at Charlie's phone screen with Rebecca's information. I don't understand why you're helping us. You don't even know us because that's what Americans do for each other. Charlie said simply, when politicians and media stop dividing us, we remember we're all on the same team. Miguel was about to reveal something about his neighborhood that would prove Charlie's point about media manipulation. There's something else, Miguel said. My neighborhood is mostly Mexican-American families, hard-working people who love this country. Charlie listened intently, but we're told constantly that Republicans hate us, that conservatives want to kick us out, that you're all racists. Miguel shook his head. But you're sitting here offering to help my family, my business, my future. Charlie's expression grew serious. Miguel, I don't care what color you are or where your family came from. I care that you're here legally working hard. Taking care of your family, that's what America is supposed to be about, but the media says the media makes money off division. Charlie interrupted. They need us to hate each other or they go out of business. When's the last time you saw a story about conservatives and immigrants working together? Miguel thought about it. Never. What Charlie revealed next would expose the biggest lie in modern American politics. Miguel, there are millions of legal immigrants who support conservative policies because they know what it's like when governments control everything. Charlie's voice grew passionate. They came here for freedom, for opportunity, for the chance to build something with their own hands. Miguel was processing this rapidly. My best friend at Turning Point is Maria Gonzalez. Her family came from Guatemala, legally waited 8 years for citizenship. She's more conservative than I am because she's lived under socialism. She knows what happens when government controls the economy. This was blowing Miguel's mind. Why don't we ever hear these stories? Because it doesn't fit the narrative, Charlie said simply. The left needs you to think all minorities vote Democrat. The right needs you to think all immigrants are Democrats, but the truth is way more complicated. Miguel was about to make a decision that would change his family's political future forever. Miguel was quiet for a long time, staring at the business cards in his hand. Mr. Kirk, I've been wrong about a lot of things, Miguel finally said. I've been listening to people who wanted me angry instead of people who wanted me successful. Charlie waited, letting him process. I want to take you up on your offers, the business connection, the insulin, help, all of it. Miguel looked up. But I want something else too. What's that? I want to learn more about conservative policies, not the media version, the real version. Miguel's voice grew stronger. Maybe it's time I started thinking for myself instead of letting other people tell me what to think. 22nd hook, 1400 in. What Charlie offered next would give Miguel the tools to completely transform his understanding of American politics. Charlie smiled. I'll send you some books, some podcasts. People who explain conservative ideas without the political theater. People who focus on solutions instead of anger. Miguel nodded eagerly. What should I read first? Start with Thomas Sowell. Basic Economics shows how free markets actually help working people. Charlie said then maybe some Candace Owens. She talks about how the welfare system hurt communities like yours. I've heard her name but never listened, Miguel admitted. She grew up poor, became successful through capitalism. Talks about how government dependency keeps people trapped. Charlie handed Miguel another card. That's my personal number. Text me after you rid Soul. We'll talk about what you think. Miguel was about to reveal how this conversation would change his entire family's worldview. Miguel looked at all the cards and contact information in his hands. My daughter's gonna flip when I tell her about this conversation. Why's that? She's been saying for months that maybe we should listen to different perspectives, that maybe we're stuck in an echo chamber. Miguel smiled, but I kept telling her the Republicans don't care about families like ours. Charlie chuckled, and now,